There's often a prevailing stereotype in the motorcycle industry that anything manufactured in China is bound to be cheap, flimsy, and destined to break down within a year or two. However, if we look back through history, we see that Japan faced a similar issue post-war. Japanese goods were once dismissed as low quality, just waiting to fall apart until they revolutionized their manufacturing practices and concepts. Now, they're renowned for their reliability and innovation. Today, China finds itself at a similar crossroads. Setting politics aside, there's an undeniable evolution, especially in key industries that extend far beyond the low-cost trinkets that you might find on platforms like Shopee or Temu. Enter CFMoto. This company has significantly improved its manufacturing quality in a remarkable short time. Their strategy focused on redesigned engine blueprints from Kawasaki, and now they're extending their collaboration with KTM. Under the terms of this partnership, the Austrian manufacturer is required by local laws to share their expertise with CFMoto in designing motorcycles from the ground up, all in exchange for producing their bikes at competitive prices. But the question is, how is this partnership shaping up for CFMoto? This is the CFMoto 450 CLC, the brand's first bike to join the entry-level cruiser segment, and it is one of the products with a joint venture with KTM. CFMoto is being competitive to capture the market by providing features not found on the leading models, as old-timers are tested and proven, but backward relative with the updated features. The CLC's styling has a British-inspired design rather than the American icon. And that is a good thing in my opinion, as Harley-Davidson is the stereotype of this segment. It's either you get a Harley or a cruiser that doesn't look directly like a Harley. It has a low-slung profile, a wide polished 12-liter tank, classic LCD headlight and turn signals, integrated taillight that make it quite a sight for the price point. The premium fit and finish are commendable. Everything from the premium switchgear to the bar end mirrors, vertically mounted radiator and engine finishing, brushed alloy spoke design wheels, dual chamber exhaust, and a belt drive which makes the CLC feel like a proper motorcycle than its sporty siblings. A manufacturer, especially from China, does not simply copy a Harley and consecrate its defined cruiser image by copying every single styling hue and then slapping their brand logo to it. That is bad image and reputation, especially to the cruiser segment. But no manufacturer owns the cafe racer, scrambler, chopper, or bobber design. But by following the bobber styling cues, CFMoto made the design neutral, appealing and respectful to the general cruiser scene. It's hard to explain this brand image respect thing, but to make it simple, if a phone manufacturer would copy an iPhone's design outright, then that brand is automatically a bad image to those die-hard Apple fans. But if they would copy or make a relative design of an Android phone, then no one would bat an eye about it. And it's the same thing with Harleys. CFMoto's design and marketing team leaped forward to do this with the CLC, rather than trying hard to be something it cannot be. Unlike the QJ Motor Group, which did the opposite and has not moved on to the Chinese copycat stereotype.
Luca! Bueno! Pinu! Bueno! Pinu!
Flip the side-mounted key and you will be greeted by the compact 3.6-inch TFT color display. Kudos to CFMoto for designing the display unit to look like a classic analog speedometer. And it has everything that you will ever need, like speed, RPM counter, fuel gauge, time, trip meters, fuel consumption average, and a whole bunch of indicators as well. Controlled through the well-designed and high-quality switchgear that has a solid tactile feel that seems to match rear bikes. CFMoto designed the console unit to have an on-display Google Map navigation synced through their app. However, this is available on select regions for now, but CFMoto can easily roll this out to make it instantly available via on-the-air firmware update. And I do hope that it would reach the ASEAN countries very soon, as I don't like my phone hanging out, especially on sketchy urban areas. Powering the CLC is the KTM-derived design. It's the new 449cc twin-cam 8-valve inline twin engine with a rumble of a 270-degree crank, producing 40 horsepower at 8,000 RPM and 42 Newton meters of torque at around 6,000 RPM, governed by a smooth shifting 6-speed gearbox that features an assist flipper clutch and traction control as standard. The motor doesn't like to crawl on bumper-to-bumper traffic, as it feels gnarly below 2000 RPM at second gear and above. However, once you rev past that, the motor is responsive and smooth growling throughout the mid-range, and the well-tuned exhaust that rumbles like a raspy short-stroke V-twin. But make no mistake, as the motor is designed to rev hard as well. 40 horses can still do 150 kilometers per hour, depending on your weight and road condition. I appreciate CFMoto for taking the initiative and not using the copy and paste method by other manufacturers when slapping engines on different segments. They took the time and effort to configure the CLC's engine. It has less power than its sporty siblings, but the motor is retuned to have a max torque as early as 6,000 RPM. And even if you cruise around 4 or 5,000, you would still have 80% of that torque already, which makes the bike purposely built for cruising. And speaking of cruising, the CLC uses a carbon belt drive from a company called Gates. This makes the bike more quiet to run and practically low maintenance compared to its chain counterpart, since you no longer need to clean and lubricate it every now and then. Gates has been making belt drives since the 1980s, and their reliability has been tested and proven throughout the years. And their carbon drive Moto X9 is their best product so far. The manual indicates to replace the belt every 20,000 kilometers, but belts can exceed those numbers when properly cleaned and maintained. Suspension is handled by a KYB 37mm upside-down fork in the front and an adjustable KYB link type monoshock in the rear, contributing to the sleek and narrow profile. The suspension setup is softly tuned to absorb nasty bumps and giving the rider a plush experience. It also has a comfortable seat, forward-mounted pegs, and CST covered tires. The overall package is designed for both comfort and control. With a seat height of just 27 inches and a low center of gravity, this bike is undeniably user-friendly even for new, returning, or vertically challenged riders. However, don't be fooled by its accommodating stature, as it has a respectable ground clearance of 6.3 inches, higher than a Z400 or a Nightster. It can handle unregulated speed bumps and potholes quite well. Stopping power is delivered by a J1 4-piston caliper by Brembo at the front and a Hangtai single piston at the rear. Both feature ABS as standard, ensuring confident braking in various conditions. The front brake lever feels premium and adjustable, but I find the free play a bit excessive, and a minor adjustment could greatly improve the response rate for those one-finger stops. 450 CLC also comes with quirks as any bike would. One example is the engine, which is not fuel efficient or smooth shifting in some cases compared to the Rebel or Eliminator, especially in city traffic. The engine mapping needs some updates, or if possible, CFMoto should utilize their OTA feature to add ride modes, since the technology is already there and it just needs to be implemented, especially if the rider does not want to utilize all the horsepower for urban use. Another oversight is the way the radiator blows the engine heat towards your right feet while riding slowly. A downward directed air duct could have made a big difference. Another nitpick is the dual-chambered exhaust. Although it is designed well and does not look bad at all, however, dual exhaust on a quarter-liter is a bit of an overkill. A long single exhaust would have performed just as well and could have trimmed some of the fat of the bike. Then there's the engine nameplate on the left side that reads "Experience More Together."
What the hell is even that?
Like, really? This is an engine, not an ad board for company slogans. A simple dual overhead camshaft or even a DOHC abbreviation would have been much more fitting. Also, the ignition key is mounted on the far right corner of the bike. Ideally, it should be on the center console to avoid potential damage if the bike takes a drop or slide. And another thing is the gas cap. While it does look good and feels right, it's not attached to the tank itself. Imagine juggling this thing while refueling. It's a minor oversight, but one that could lead to frustration. The bar end mirrors look great, but with a wide handlebar they add an unnecessary width to the bike, making it tougher to navigate through traffic. CFMoto could have offered a choice between standard mirrors or just kept the bar end mirrors exclusive to the bobber variant. The short fender looks clean and sporty, but it's more about looks than function. A more practical fender would have served the standard variant much better. Now, the great thing about CFMoto is that they are attentive to dealer and customer feedback regarding their bikes. One of the previous issues of the CLC was its seat, wherein it was too firm for many riders, and they updated it with a plusher one within the year for the next batch. And it's the same thing with the engine mapping, as they continuously roll out updates when needed. CFMoto's collaboration with KTM is going well for them. The new 450 engine has undergone rigorous tests, and we've already seen it integrated into 4 motorcycles: the SR, NK, CLC, and MT. The 450 MT in particular proved itself to be rugged enough to handle the rigors of the segment, and has performed exceptionally well in those demanding environments. It won't be long before CFMoto uses the engine to another platform, or perhaps improve it even better at this point. They are now launching their triple platform and will see the V4s as well. CFMoto will most likely not discontinue their 450 platforms in the near future, as this will be their bread and butter in the long run to support their growth, as they are expanding very quickly. But this rapid growth could backfire if the market dynamics shift. Factors like import restrictions or increased tariffs on Chinese products could severely impact their momentum, much like what we're seeing right now with KTM's bankruptcy. Except, of course, CFMoto can sell their bikes at a reasonable price. You must remember that even the strongest empires can fall.